This man said that the team who scores the most points is not the better team. What's up, guys? Gabe the Great back here again for another video. Thank you so much for stopping on by. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, we talk everything basketball. So we talk NBA, WNBA, NBA 2K, AAU, EuroLeague, and everything in between. So if you like talking about basketball, be sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. But let's go ahead and jump straight into the conversation. Okay, look, y'all, gotta be honest. I wasn't even gonna make a video today because I'm working on another video right now, and honestly, it's taking a lot of energy. But bro, the NBA analytics community is so out of pocket right now. Okay, so let me set the story up here, okay? So I was on YouTube watching basketball videos because, you know, that's what I do when I'm not making basketball videos. I'm watching basketball videos. And so I stumbled across this channel that I watch quite often. And so I noticed that this particular guy had a podcast. Now, before I jump into this whole thing, I want to say I'm still subscribed to the channel. I still like the content the guy puts out. And so this is not an attempt to bash the guy or his channel. I like it. I'm not even going to mention his name. But since I was thinking about starting a podcast and I saw that he had a podcast, I decided to go ahead and listen to a couple episodes and see what he was talking about. Now, understand this is a analytics guy. This is a guy whose work's been used for things like basketballreference.com, and he's been working in the analytics community for a long time. So he's a big time analytics guy, knows what he's talking about when it comes to analytics and that sort of stuff, okay? So his podcast is completely about analytics. So I was listening to one of his podcasts, and one of the things he said was just so outrageous that I was like, what? So I'm paraphrasing here, but basically what he said was that if the Golden State Warriors beat the Houston Rockets in a series, that doesn't mean that Golden State is a better team than Houston. Come again? I literally had to play that part back several times. I thought, okay, maybe I missed a word or maybe I misunderstood. But no, that's what he said. He said that if Golden State beats Houston in a series, that does not necessarily mean that Golden State is the better team. And so I decided to tweet him and say, hey man, I need some clarification from something you said on your podcast. Like, you said that if Golden State were to beat Houston in a series, that doesn't make them a better team. Like, how? Like, are we not going by score anymore? Like, I thought the team that won the game is the better team. Like, am I missing something? Right? Because I didn't want to come off like attacking, because some of the stuff he says on his podcast I actually agree with. Like, I actually believe that, you know, there's basically two camps. There's the analytic community, and then there's like the traditional, like the eye test community. And I believe like the two can overlap and work out very well. And I do believe that analytics isn't going anywhere, and I believe we're going to keep going further and further down this rabbit hole. But to say that the team that wins the game isn't the better team is ridiculous. And so in a very nice way, I tweeted at him to try to get some clarification. And so then I got a response from someone who obviously saw the tweet, and this is what they said. They said, I think one thing he meant by that is that basketball is kind of like tossing a coin 100 times. No, it's not. It's like shooting a ball through a hoop 100 times. If done only once or a few times, it can see some varied results, such as 60 heads, 40 tails, or 70-30. Only when repeated numerous times do things get very close to 50-50. Huh? And then I told him, I said, that makes no sense, because if two teams were to play 100 times, then you're basically playing against 100 different teams, because the only thing that's going to be common is the name on the front of the jersey. If you were to look at the last 100 times that the Golden State Warriors played the Houston Rockets, then you're going to be looking at 100 different rosters for both teams. And so that analogy to me just made like no sense. And so that's when I responded with, it seems like you're relying more on theoretical statistical analysis over what actually happens in reality, because what actually happens is Golden State smacks Houston in the playoffs every year. And then I brought up the analogy and said, if we play one-on-one today and I beat you, then I'm the better player today right now. It doesn't matter what would happen if we would have played 99 games. And then that's when the person I originally tweeted finally jumped in and said, you're using better to mean something different. You're saying better equals at any given moment in time synonymous with score. That ignores variability, which is a hallmark of sport. Nothing theoretical about it. No, I'm using better as in I'm better than you at basketball, or as in you better go on somewhere with this ridiculousness. And then that's when I said, no, the final score accounts for all variability in the game. And I pointed out that given all the many variables in the game, that score is the best and most widely accepted metric in determining who's the better team. Right? Because this is my whole thing about analytics. We get caught up in all these other little analytical stats, these efficiency stats, and these plus or minus stats, and these true shooting percentages, and all this stuff. It's like at the end of the day, who wins the game? Who puts the ball through the hoop more than the other team? That's all we want to know. And that's all that really matters, if we're honest. Then the first responder responded and said, let's use the Milwaukee Raptors as an example. Raptors won by 6 points in the last 2 games. That's 2 or 3 possessions, 2 open shots where one team's threes go in and another team's doesn't. Does that prove that the Raptors were empirically better team? Yes! Like this is what I'm saying. Like, in what world can you actually score more points than the other team, which is the objective of the game? In what world can you score more points than the other team and not be considered the better team? And this is the big problem that I have with analytics, is you can watch a game and you can see something happen, and then here someone will come with the math behind it and says, hey, what you're seeing is not actually true. Is that, hey, you're watching this player who clearly appears to be a good player, but if you look at the numbers, he's actually not that good of a player. And for me, as a coach, I go, number 1, did the ball go through the hoop? Number 2, did we win? If both the answers to those questions are yes, I don't really care. Now, don't get me wrong, efficiency is important, but at the end of the day, the objective of the game is to score more points than the other team. Now, you would like to do that in an efficient manner, and probably over the course of time, the more efficient teams are going to win more games. But the Milwaukee Bucks this past season was like the most efficient team in the league, and they didn't even make the NBA Finals. And I'm sitting here like going back and forth with people like who are deep in analytics. I mean, this guy, his words gets used for basketballreference.com. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the favorite website of everybody who hates Russell Westbrook. And I'm sitting there thinking like, yo, like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? And then today, Daryl Morey had the audacity to say that it is just a fact that James Harden is a better offensive player than Michael Jordan. Look, man, it's Friday. I can't do this with y'all. Y'all gonna mess up my weekend. Look, I feel like you can't argue with people like that. Like, if someone really believes that James Harden is a better offensive player than Michael Jordan, like, you just gotta let them have it, okay? Because, like, there's gonna be no convincing that person. Like, of course they're not gonna take in the fact the different eras and the different rules on defense and the different pace of play. Like, no, they're not gonna listen to any of that. None of that is important. They're gonna look at what the math says. But my point is that it doesn't matter what the math says, because the math cannot make up for certain things on the basketball court. The math cannot make up for things like team chemistry. The math cannot make up for things like a good game plan. The math cannot make up for things like execution. It doesn't matter what the math says is the best shot on the court if you can't execute it. And as a player and as a coach, your responsibility is figure out what you're good at executing and do that as much as possible. You know, I found it interesting that these particular analytical guys were defending the Houston Rockets because people cap so much for Houston. And I get it because, like, the analytical genius of our day is Daryl Morey. Can we just recap Daryl Morey's decision making as a GM? Okay, first he signed James Harden. That's a good decision. Very good decision. He was a great player even in OKC. Then he went and got Dwight Howard. How did that turn out? Then he went and got a ball-dominant Jeremy Lin to pair with a ball-dominant James Harden. How did that work out? Then after the Jeremy Lin and the Dwight Howard experiment failed, then he went out and got ball-dominant Chris Paul to pair with ball-dominant James Harden. How did that work out? Then he said, okay, let's go get Carmelo Anthony, and then 2 weeks later, instantly regretted the decision. Now, it's gonna be really exciting, but he's now paired for the third straight time another ball-dominant point guard with his ball-dominant point guard. You're telling me that the most analytical genius of our time doesn't understand that you cannot put two ball-dominant point guards on the court at the same time and win an NBA championship. Here's another thing that shows you how much analytics do such a disservice to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets' ingenious game plan of beating the Golden State Warriors were what? We're gonna get in a three-point shootout with the Golden State Warriors. Like, who sits around the table and goes, guys, I know how we're gonna beat Steph Curry today. We're gonna outshoot him. And then someone at the table goes, wait, they just got Kevin Durant too. He's like the best 7-foot shooter of all time. We're just gonna shoot more threes than him. We're gonna shoot more threes. That's gonna work. Like, yo, man, like, come on. Like, what are we talking? This is what I'm saying. Like, the NBA analytics community is out of pocket. I'm not saying analytics are not good. I'm not saying they aren't useful. But in the past week, I've had an analytics guy tell me that the final score is not the best metric in determining who's the better team. And I've had another analytics guy who tells me that in an era where you can't really play physical defense, that James Harden is a better scorer than Michael Jordan. Like, yo, y'all analytics guys are getting crazy out of pocket right now. You know, Bomani Jones had a great video on this on his show, High New. I'll leave a link for it down in the description. I won't get into it, but he's got some pretty interesting theories about why people are all of a sudden hopping on this analytics bandwagon and why it's not okay. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments section what you guys think about analytics and how it's affecting the NBA. Is it good, bad, better, indifferent? What do you guys think? Hey, like the video if you like it. Go follow me on Twitter. I'll be over there talking to myself. And I'll see you next time. Peace.